Hi, so in this video we are going to be exploring volume of cubes and cuboids. So before we do so, let's just have a recap on area. And I'm going to assume that if you're looking at this video, you've done something on area. When we wanted to find the area of a shape, it was a space that we were filling in. So we came to the formula length times width, but it's important to understand why that works. And so what we did was split up each rectangle into square meters in this case to see how many would fit in that space. And we could see that it's 4 that way, 2 that way, so that's going to give us a total of 8, 4 by 2. Okay, so for this one, 5 by 3, and we can see that if we split that up into squares, 15 meters squared. And the final one, you can pause this video at any time if you want to have a go at doing it and then listen to the answer. So please feel free to do that. 7 times 4 gives us 28 meters squared. Okay, so that was area, and that was filling in a flat space using squares. And that's resulted in us being able to just multiply the 2 dimensions, length and width, or width and length, it doesn't matter which way round, to give us the area. So let's now move on and have a look at volume. So if you have a look at this, volume of a cuboid, and a cuboid is a 3-dimensional shape and it looks like a box. So it's anything of this shape made up of rectangles or squares, and it has 3 dimensions. It's what we call solid. So the area of a shape is the measure of the surface space contained within the perimeter, and it's measured using squares. But if we try to do that with our cuboid, then it's not going to work because we've got this depth to it, and what we're using with our area is just flat squares. So we could cover the front face of this shape, but we can't fill what's inside. So there's our 2 dimensions for the front. We've got a rectangle at the front. It's 5 by 4, and it would have an area of 20 square centimeters. The volume of a shape is a measure of the space contained within its faces. So whereas the area was inside the perimeter, the volume is inside all those areas around the outside of it. And we go from squares to cubes to fill it in. It's 3-dimensional, so we need a 3-dimensional shape to fill it. And there we have it. So in this, we've got a cube that is 1 centimetre. But as with the other measurements we've looked at, we could use millimetres, centimetres, metres, or kilometres. Kilometres would be a very large shape. It's a distance. Okay, let's look onwards. So what we need to do to find out the volume of this box or this cuboid is to see how many of these little centimetre cubes it would take to fill it. And there we can see it took 60. Let's just look at that again. So we started by putting 5 across and 4 up. And then we saw there was still space there, so we could just keep putting in another 5 by 4, another 20, and then another 20 till it was filled. So what we see, because it's a cuboid, it's got 3 dimensions. It's 3D. So we have a width, a height, and a depth. And these words are interchangeable. If you think about a swimming pool, we'd talk about depth. If you thought about a building, we might talk about height. So there's different ways, but the important thing is there are 3 dimensions. And so to find the volume, we need to multiply by the 3 dimensions. 4 times 5 times 3 equals 60. And we must remember to answer our volume in cubed centimetres. So let's have a look at some examples. So in this first one, we've got 3 across, 4 up, and then 3 going backwards. So there are 3 dimensions. Oops. It's not got the answers on here. So I'm going to copy this across and we are going to have a go at doing this. Okay, so if we want to work out the volume of these shapes, the first one would be, we've got 3 across, we've got 3 going back there, and I'm going to put centimetres, and we've got a height of 4. So the volume of that first cuboid would be 4 times 3 times 3. Get the calculator out, but I think I should be able to do that. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. And then we must remember cube centimetres. And you could imagine, couldn't you? Because there's 3 across here. You can see there's 9 there, then another 9, then another 9, and then another 9. Okay. Now, the order that you multiply these in doesn't matter at all. You will still get the same answer. And if you're not sure about that, then try it on the calculator. It will always come out the same. Okay, let's have a look at this next one. So here we've got a height of 2 centimetres. Across, we've got 7. And going back, we've got 6. So I'm going to say 7. Let's write it. Let's put our answer there. I'm going to do it up here. 7 multiplied by 6, which I know is 42, multiplied by 2 is 84 centimetres, but it's cubed centimetres. Just to be sure, 7 times 6 times 2 equals 84. Or I could do 6 times 7 times 2 equals 84. Or I could do 2 times 7 times 6 equals 84. All of them will work. And then finally, we've got this one. It's just crept off the page, but I think we can see how many it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got 9 centimetres across. I can see that the bottom's there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 going up there. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going back. So 9 times 4 times 6. And this time I'm going to do it on the calculator for speed. Oops, that went wrong. You see, I'm better off doing it in my head. 9 times 6 times 4 is 216 cubed centimetres. So as we're getting up in dimensions, then we're just multiplying more together. And the standard formula to find the volume is written as length times width times height. But of course, sometimes we're going to get depth. Sometimes it might be described in different ways. The key thing is that all three of those measurements are measured to get multiplied together to give the volume. Once we've believed it, because we've seen it with the cubes, we then should be able to move on and do it when we can't see the cubes. So let's have a look at these examples. So in these examples, we can't see the cubes, but we are given the measurements, and we do need to have the measurements. So we can see this has dimensions of 2 and 8 and 4. So we are going to get 2 times 8 times 4 equals 64 cubed meters. Pause and have a go at the second and third if you can, and replay when you're ready. Right, so the second one is 2 times 3 times 5, which gives us 30 cubed centimeters. And then the final one would be 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125 centimeters cubed, or cubed centimeters. And there we have it. So that is how you work out the volume of a cuboid.